So Pam and Rob, I'm going to zone in on you for a minute because you have been very prayerful about coming to Kelowna and this around this gathering and just really intentional with what you want to bring with you. And you chose to bring Jim. And I just want to know felt, how you felt that Jim
Mm.
could be a really good fit for this gathering. Can you share your heart on that a little bit with us?
I've heard of Jim Matthies's name many times through Randy, and so his reputation was ahead of him. But Rob and I invited him to come to our home when we were doing preparations for the Journey Refresh. And when Jim would talk, he just had my attention because he was coming from a deep place, a place of discernment and care and thoughtfulness. And he held me.
Mm.
And it was easy for me to imagine if he can hold me in my own home, then I'm certain that he is holding others well in other contexts. And so I wanted other people to experience that. Plus, we had oodles of good conversation.
I thought you were
And I,
going to say oodles of good food and wine, but we had that too.
yes, you did if you were at Pam's.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Wendy, I've probably known Jim for 15 years, I suspect, and
Okay.
number of interactions there, that some with Randy at the table, some without. And there was always a um, thoughtfulness, spiritual sensitivity. There was kind of a radar um, about sort of things. I was also very drawn to his story as I would get to know him better and see, he's had an experience. The church is a really big place. There's a lot to it through history and culture. Jim, for someone that's been in the United States his whole adult life, and it has had a lot of experiences with different sort of traditions. There's something about that he brings to the table, and that he's been at a local church thinking about this question of formation and how men and women, children grow up into Christ and what the Spirit might be doing in that unique place that is connected to what God's up to in the
Mm.
world, but also
Mhm.
in the uniqueness of common ground and its neighborhood and the challenges of life in Indianapolis. And it takes a decade, maybe two, to begin to see how change occurs in people's lives, both adults as well as kids. And I think so. Even when we come to this question of the gathering, it's important to recognize this question of formation in Christ certainly has individual components of it. Most of the way we've been talking about it is like
Mhm.
that thus far. It also has very interpersonal elements to it. What happens over a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and a good meal interpersonally, the Spirit's generosity. But formation in Christ, certainly in Paul's mind, as he talks about it within the epistles, and as we look around our settings, it is a communal thing. Like there's things, and
Mhm.
sometimes it's way beyond our pay grade to get ahead of this stuff that the Spirit is doing, but yet we're stewarding it. And as I get asked those questions by different communities about formation, and different pastors or ministry leaders are not just thinking about what's happening interpersonally or for an individual, they're thinking about how do we cultivate an environment um,
Mm.
here of formation,
Mhm.
of a Jesus sort of place where he can kind of realm. Jim's at the top of my list for someone like I need you to talk to Jim, right? There's one or two people, but Jim is certainly in the top of the list. Your voice, Jim, toward seeing and the humility that comes with it, yet the confidence at the same time that these are elements that are going to be important as you think about doing this, not just over the next 6 months, but as you think about doing this over the next
Mhm.
5 years, decade, 15 years. And I think that is part of what we want the gathering to be about as well, is what are these relational dynamics that infuse their way through the way the Spirit develops people in Christ as communities, as people. And so that's sort of the why Jim is at the table, that I do think the mix of who all's going to be there, as well as a mix of Pam and a little bit of my rambling, can be just very generative for people as they think beyond what's going to happen simply over the next 3, 6 months, 1 year, as they think about being a catalyst in their community. And so I think Jim's experience and voice and humility with that question is kind of important to the gathering. So.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't think you could get me more excited about the gathering.
Yeah, I want to meet this guy.